The reach advantage goes to Jamahal Hill as well, 79-inch reach.
And that's going to make a difference in the boxing. That's why I'm saying if Jamahal Hill can use his reach and make it a boxing match and put pressure on Thiago Santos, he have a shot.
We have the veteran Thiago Santos versus, I don't want to say newcomer because Jamahal Hill has been in the UFC for a little while at this point, but he is the young Jamahal Hill as far as their prospects
from
on
Thiago.
The rise. And we're about to do a breakdown. We're about to give you all the information you need to know so you can go into this fight and kind of having an idea of how it might play out. Well, classic striker versus striker. They both have different tools that they can use, but at this point in the game, we kind of know what they want to do the most. What are some of the tools you see from both fighters?
From Thiago Santos, I see his biggest tool is his experience.
Yeah.
He's been in there with John Jones. He's been in there with Anthony Smith. If you think about it, Jamahal Hill, he's a step below those guys. Because if you go 5 rounds with John Jones, what can Jamahal Hill do that you haven't seen from John Jones?
Yeah, but Thiago Santos has been falling down the rankings at the same time, and that's why they're making this fight, because he's on the way down, it seems like, and Jamahal Hill is on his way up. That's why they made the fight, to see if he can handle being in there with somebody with so much experience. What do you expect to see from Thiago Santos?
I can expect to see footwork and movement and also kicks. That's one thing he can offer to Jamahal Hill, because Jamahal Hill is going to make it a boxing match. And if he can mix up the kicks with the hands, he can have a shot and stay on the outside and distance, control the distance, and make it a boring fight.
Well, yeah, that's true, because that's how Thiago likes to fight. He likes to back up against the cage.
Even if you look at Thiago, his fights haven't been the most eventful, but at the same time, even his fight against Magomed, I think he won that fight. His fights against Rakic and Magomed, they were extremely close, but I think Thiago Santos won both of those fights. So if he can make this fight against Jamahal Hill, he'll have a shot of winning.
Thiago needs to do something different, because what he has been doing has not been working. He is kind of a little bit timid, and he'll back up and circle against the cage. He'll look for that opportunity, and if it don't present itself, then you get a boring 25 minutes, which we've seen that in the last few fights. Jamahal Hill, as far as the tools he possesses, it's the hands, but you going into the upper echelon here, and it's going to take more than just hands, because now people know what to watch out for. I wouldn't be surprised if Thiago started wrestling in this fight.
Exactly, especially if you look at the fact that when Thiago Santos fought against Kevin Holland, he was able to implement the wrestling. Kevin Holland is not really known for wrestling. He can do the same thing against Jamahal Hill.
It's so odd to think that he had a fight with Kevin Holland.
I know.
And he what's weight. But
if you go back and look at Jamahal Hill loss, his one loss against Paul Craig, he was out-grappled.
But let's not pretend like Thiago is Paul Craig when it comes to the ground. So
yeah.
That ain't even. I think he could use his size and strength to get him on the ground, but he's not going to be able to use that type of wizardry. Now, if we go back and look at the fighters' past few fights, it's looking kind of rough here for Thiago. The level of competition there's a stark difference, obviously. Being in there with John Jones, losing only a split decision where you had your ACL torn. Glover, he actually dropped Glover 2 or 3 times in that fight and still managed to lose once the fight went into the later rounds. He got exhausted. Glover started wrestling him. He don't have to worry about that against Jamahal. Alexandre Rakic, he knows how to win decisions. That's how he wins a lot of his fights.
And I think Thiago won that fight.
It was close. Now you got Johnny Walker here, another pick'em, another toss-up fight where you can flip a coin. In the last one, the most recent fight was Magomed. He actually dropped Magomed in the second round of that fight.
It's almost like Thiago hasn't looked the same since the Glover fight, because he was dangerous against Glover for the first 2 rounds, and after the fight, it's almost like his hunger and his killer instinct is not there no more.
I know.
Yeah, because of the prior knee injuries Thiago Santos had, maybe he don't want to re-injure the knees.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's hard to have a lot of faith. There's a lot of psychology that goes into bouncing back from injury. But Jamahal Hill, on the other hand, we go back and look at his most recent fights. So I'm going to start here. Darko pieced him up. This was only 2 years ago. Wow, he's done a lot in 2 years. Pieced him up on the feet, mix it up, 1-2, knee to the body. That is a tool that Jamahal has that is underrated, that does seem to do a lot of damage. When you think about it, he does get people against the cage, and if the hands don't work, he'll get them in that clinch and start doing a knee to the body. So now Ovince St. Preux, Ovince actually started off with a lot of success from the southpaw position. But, of course, that didn't last too long.
And another thing with Ovince, I don't think a lot of people gave Jamahal Hill that big of a chance against Ovince. I actually had my money on Ovince.
At the time, we were watching it, and it was almost like a rebound fight for Ovince. He started off doing well. He had a lot of success early on in the fight. when he was going to the southpaw position, mixing it up with the kicks. He did have success with the kicks, and Thiago might be able to replicate that. I don't know how much faith Thiago has in the knees, though, to be throwing a whole bunch of kicks. Now, we got Jimmy Crute. That fight only lasted 48 seconds. Cleaned him up real quick. And the Johnny Walker fight didn't last that long. The last 2 fights he had lasted combined almost, 4 minutes? Just under 4 minutes. He's getting people out of there quick. Thiago has to be careful not to be circling against the cage and backing up, trying to swarm, because if he's not careful, he'll play right into what Jamahal needs to do. But at the same time, Jamahal has to be careful not to just rely on boxing if it's not doing a lot of damage to Thiago, because if Thiago can survive and go later into the rounds, he is durable. He is durable.
And he has a bunch of heart. He did go 5 rounds with a torn ACL against John Jones.
And if you get caught slipping, you got to realize he did drop Magomed. I don't know why he didn't just, he swarmed on him, but it wasn't the same. Because we watched his finishes from his earlier fights, and that same fight would have been over.
You know what it is, though? Is these 5-round fights. Let's get into Thiago Santos.
He's worried about the cardio.
He's pacing himself.
But that might give him confidence in this fight, knowing this is Jamahal Hill's first 5-round fight. And Thiago himself has been there in the last few fights. Even though he has only won one of them, you can make the argument he won at least 1 or 2 of the other ones.
Absolutely.
There's a strong argument that he won the Magomed. There's a strong argument he won the Rockage one. So
I think more pressure is on Jamahal Hill, because Thiago, what he has to do is get this fight in deep waters. He has to get this fight in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round.
But Jamahal getting people out of there in 2 and 3 minutes, so he go. You got to be careful with that. If we go here to the UFC website, we look at the records. Thiago is 22-10. Don't be fooled by the 10 losses, because he lost to the very best. We just went down the list of them. Jamahal Hill only has 1 loss to Paul Craig, and he seemed to have learned a lot from that loss. It has shown him that, hey, at a certain level here, it ain't all about just talking.
But at the same time, Paul Craig is not John Jones. Paul Craig is not Glover.
That's true. Thiago Santos is the Brazilian. Jamahal Hill is the American. The height advantage does go to Jamahal Hill. He is 6'4". I didn't realize he was that tall.
Yeah, he's tall, and he's not slender. Like, he's not skinny, but he's not muscular either,
The reach advantage goes to Jamahal Hill as well, 79-inch reach.
And that's going to make a difference in the boxing. That's why I was saying, if Jamahal Hill can use his reach and make it a boxing match and put pressure on Thiago Santos, he have a shot.
Yeah, he got more than a shot. The leg reach advantage goes to Jamahal Hill.
That really don't matter. He really don't throw a lot of kicks.
But he does like to throw those knees from the clinch. And so if that can help cover some of the distance where he don't have to be as close to be able to wind up and throw that knee. The win percentage here by KO from Thiago is 68%. I think he has something like 11 knockout wins in the UFC.
Yeah, but he hasn't knocked nobody out in years. So that's
the only thing.
2015, 2016.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Jamahal, 60% knockout rate. Most of his wins in the UFC have come, I think only 1 went to decision. And the rest of them, he knocked them out. We don't have to worry about the jiu-jitsu too much here. Now we have the decisions. Jamahal Hill, his earlier fights went to decision. His recent fights, he knocking them out. Thiago, he's been to decision the most recent fights. So he only won 1 of those fights. That's why it's only 27%. The average fight time for Thiago is 9 minutes.
And I think this can play into his favor against Jamahal Hill, because that's experience.
Yeah, but what can you do with the experience, though? You got to do something with it. Because he had the experience against Johnny Walker, and how did that fight play
And that
out?
fight was close, man.
Neither one of them did that much for 25 minutes.
But Jamahal Hill, this is not the fight to come out and make it
I'm talking
exciting.
About Thiago and Johnny Walker.
No, I'm saying even when he fought against Johnny Walker, like, that was boring. But when he's fighting against Jamahal Hill, I wouldn't come out and make this fight exciting.
It's going to be too dangerous.
Yeah,
that's true. The average knockdowns per 15 minutes, they both averaging at least 1. Now, Jamahal is in the 1.5 territory here, so that's something to be concerned about. The significant strikes. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because Jamahal has landed almost double of what Thiago lands. And we've seen Thiago be a little timid lately, just going off the recent performances here. So the significant strikes is in a similar range, close to 50% for both guys. Thiago at 47%, Jamahal Hill at 51%. It's funny because Jamahal is in there for less time. That's why this is so much more dangerous. This is more dangerous because his 51% is, the last 2 fights lasted about a little under 4 minutes. So you're talking about 2 minutes and some change for each fight on average.
So he's doing a lot in a small amount of time. Yeah.
The strikes absorbed, 3.71 to the 2 point.
And that could be a little bit of an issue. That could be a problem. Absorbing 3.71 strikes per minute.
Yeah.
That could be an issue, especially against Thiago Santos.
Because he only needs 1.
Is he going to respect Thiago Santos' power?
He better. 10% more defense from Thiago Santos, which is good considering the people he's fought. You in there with Rockets, you in there with Johnny Walker. But again, those were slow-paced fights where it wasn't high action and it wasn't high volume. So maybe that falls into the way that Thiago can win as the fight progresses, because Jamahal, again, he does a lot in a small amount of time. And he's at 45% too, which is cool, but...
And another thing is with Jamahal, his striker defense is only 45%. But he doesn't get hit with big shots. He doesn't get hit with haymakers or overhands.
We talking about leg kicks here and the occasional jab.
It's a respectable 45%.
He's not getting hit clean on the chin.
Yeah.
Now the grappling, this is where it could play into the hands of Thiago, because he might have to start grappling. Now I'll be careful because Jamahal Hill is going to be strong at the beginning, and he's good at defending takedowns and then using your takedown attempt to initiate a clinch from that and start using the knees. We've seen that a lot. Jamahal has to be careful with that as well, because Thiago going to be very dangerous up close. So it actually will play into Jamal's hands to use the distance and the reach and stay away from the clinch. Even if he can defend the takedown, just let Thiago go and piece him up. Don't even stay in close range with him. Also, this is a little concerning because as you get closer to the top, you need to start utilizing all your tools. If there's any area where you are having zeros like this, it will be exploited by somebody with more experience.
Even if you go and look at Anderson Silva, he really didn't have takedowns like that. And they kind of hurt him against Chris Weidman, against Chael Sonnen. So he got to be able to mix it up more.
Yeah. The takedown accuracy, because you don't have any takedown attempts, you have no accuracy. And I'm gonna tell you another thing about takedowns: don't be fooled and think that everything is a double leg takedown because of a game plan. Sometimes you go for takedowns to survive. If you get hit hard, you don't want to stand up with somebody who can put your lights out and they already hurt you. Sometimes takedowns keep you alive to keep you in the fight.
And that's interesting. I'm curious to see. I've never seen Jamahal Hill hurt before on the feet. I'm curious to see how will he respond when he's hurt.
That's why I want to see takedowns. I want to see takedowns just in general against certain people. Obviously, don't take down no black. Don't start with no super black belt or anything. But
no Glover.
Not like that. But people you can get out of there and you can pass guard and get in the full mount and TKO them. Get that, because you need to get comfortable going for takedowns. Because if the first time you go for a takedown is when you get hit at this level, is over. The takedown defense is good from both guys. 65% from Thiago, 60% from Jamahal.
I wouldn't say there's good takedown defense. It's straight. It's decent, average. And also the takedowns came against opponents who he beat. Jamahal Hill beat those people who took him down.
Yeah. So he can stand back up even if he is taken down.
And that's what's scary right here is Jamahal Hill average 0 submission attempts.
But I believe he does have a jiu-jitsu background that he's just not having to use. That's one thing about Jamahal Hill. That's why I'm big on the upside, because even in the areas where there's a low percentage as far as offense and the average and the accuracy, there are so many tools that we have not seen him use because he don't have to. If you can get people out of there in 2 or 3 minutes and you don't have to use your jiu-jitsu, hey, why not? So
that's one advantage of finishing people fast, because then you're not showing everything. You're not showing your whole card.
That's what I talked about with Yair. We only seen certain things from him. And then as soon as they got into the Brian Ortega fight, he went for an arm bar, and nobody saw that coming. It's going to be a good fight. The level of competition obviously goes into the hands of Thiago, but again, he has not been winning those fights, and they have been much closer than the scorecards would show.
Do you think this is the passing of the torch from Thiago to Jamahal Hill?
That's what the fight is made for. That's what I was going to ask you next, because I think there's a theme to the fights. Every fight is not just a fight just to be making. They're making fights for a certain reason.
Strategically,
there's like sometimes they might get 2 prospects and see, okay, who can go to the next level. Or they might get a guy who's beat prospects. Like he beat the Jimmy Crutes. He beat the Jimmy Walkers, right? Jamahal Hill. So now it's like, okay, now you need an experienced guy. Can you beat him?
This is actually a perfect fight. One last thing I'm going to say is Thiago, he's a dangerous striker, but Thiago gets into these slugfests. If you notice, like whenever fighters apply pressure on him, he throws punches with his hands down. Wow. That might actually benefit Jamahal Hill. Another thing is Thiago Santos is so durable and he got so much heart. What if Jamahal Hill hurt him but he can't knock him out? Because Jamahal Hill don't really have submissions, or we haven't seen them. So they might work against Jamahal Hill not having the submissions. Because what if you hurt Thiago and Thiago can recover?
We haven't seen it yet. So the fight is very interesting. Let us know who you're going to be putting your money on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.